Merry Christmas, everyone. Welcome to Concepts. My name is Shawn Whatley. I wanted to record a short Christmas greeting for you, and I wanted to share a concept. I'm always excited about concepts, and then to make a few remarks about Christmas itself. So first, the concept. I just ran across this a couple days ago. I'm really excited about it. It's called intentional ignorance. Intentional ignorance. And it's connected with the anti-library. So the author, Umberto Eco, who just passed away in 2016, he's an Italian author. He wrote 40 books. He was introduced to me by my nephew, so thanks, Jack, for that. He had a library of over 30,000 volumes. And the reason he had that gigantic library was to demonstrate and to remind himself of how much he didn't know. So the point of intentional ignorance, of amassing a large library, not to hoard books, but because you're getting books that you hope to read, that you would love to be able to read, that you think you should read, but a library that's big enough that you know you can never read. The point of doing all that is to remind yourself that what you know is tiny compared to what even you would like to know. Never mind all the knowledge that you really don't care about. I'm saying just in the field that you are interested in. And the emphasis of this, or the point of it, is to never overestimate the value of what you know right now, or what you even think you know. So really it takes direct aim at this quest for certainty. And this has been a hobby horse of mine for several decades now. I think one of the things that causes so much harm and suffering in the world, especially in centrally controlled healthcare, is this assumption or this quest for certainty. People write policies on the basis that we can quantify human experience, and then they try to quantify it, or they assume they can quantify it, and they build these beautiful algorithms and spreadsheets and demand that the people giving care follow the particular key performance indicators. And I think it's a fool's game. You can't quantify human experience. Now, that's not to say we don't achieve anything or we don't aim for anything. So this gets into this idea of certainty, either in the sense of coming up with rules, but at the same time, you'll have fundamentalists who are absolutely certain that we can know nothing. So the hardcore relativists also have a certain kind of certainty in their relativism. They are absolutely certain that neither you nor I can know anything at all. So both ends of that spectrum, it's not really a spectrum, both ends of that approach to knowledge, the ones who are fundamentalists on their doctrine or fundamentalists on their policy approaches and their regulations, as well as the people on the other end who say it's no sense making any rules at all. It's no sense saying that we can know anything for certain. They are both fundamentalists. They are both taking a stance of absolute certainty. What I'm suggesting, and what this concept of intentional ignorance suggests, is that we acknowledge that there is content to know. The true, the good, and the beautiful does exist, even if that means our ability to know it all is hampered. Dennis Covington said that mystery is not the absence of meaning, but the presence of more meaning than we can comprehend. And so there is more meaning, more knowledge, more things for us to know in the world than we could ever consume, but also than we could ever comprehend. Now, traditionally, in conservative circles, conservatives had said, well, that's a good reason not to listen to those academics, because you've just proven that you know nothing. You read all these books, and yet your reading from morning to night is really a drop in the bucket of what could be known. So how dare you try to tell me how to live your life or my life, or how dare you try to tell me about anything, because the pursuit of knowledge is a fool's game itself. But that's a false humility. And it says that, it takes the stance of saying, well, not only are you not as smart as you think you are, but I'm actually smarter by being proud of my ignorance and saying, well, actually, real life means we shouldn't try to learn anything. Things too wonderful for me to think about, I'm just not going to think about. I'm just going to be very practical and humble. I would say that's a false humility. I think true humility is being honest about what we know, what we've read, what we don't know, being honest about our attachments. I've shared this quote many times from Roger Scruton. He says that conservatism is about being honest about the attachments we've inherited. And I think that includes our knowledge as well, the things that we've learned, the things that we've studied, the things that we've experienced. And that leads me to Christmas. For many decades, I felt bad for saying Merry Christmas. And for the last, 5-10 years, I've been kind of saying, well, I'm going to say Merry Christmas anyways. I'm going to be a rebel. But I still felt kind of bad about it. I was like, oh, maybe this person doesn't celebrate Christmas. But to not say Merry Christmas is to not be honest about the attachments that I've inherited, that you've inherited. And so in a way, it's a false humility. You're being dishonest by saying Happy Holidays or something else. Now, if you think you should say Happy Holidays, knock yourself out. Go and say it. But for those of you out there who actually celebrate Christmas, then at least for a few days before Christmas, you should be saying Merry Christmas, because that would be the honest and humble approach. Now, for a few thoughts about Christmas, and then we'll end. The big idea about Christmas is the concept of the gift. Christians teach that the creator of the universe, God, gave his son to mankind to save us from our sins, to give us hope. The prophet Isaiah put it this way, for unto us a child is born, for unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and he shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. So it's a gift of peace. It's something that's given to us. And so that forces us to deal with this idea of a gift. I would argue that there are two common approaches to a gift, especially to the gift of Christmas, if we call Christmas a gift. The first approach, and I'm stealing this from Kenneth Minogue's book, The Liberal Mind. He said the liberal mind is cynical or sentimental. So it's given to cynicism or sentimentality. So we can look at the gift and say, oh, well, you just got me this gift because you were trying to manipulate me. Or you got me this gift to make yourself look good. Or you got me this gift because you had to. Everybody in the office was giving gifts. You don't really care about this. Or what are you trying to achieve by giving me this gift anyways? So that's a cynical approach. And we can take that to the whole concept of Christmas itself. The other common approach, which I think is wrong, is the approach of sentimentality. People become dewy-eyed and weepy and, oh, this is the best gift ever. Now, if you genuinely feel that, great. But a lot of people think that that's the proper response. When you receive a gift, you become overly sentimental. So I would say cynicism and sentimentality aren't the right approaches. The third approach you can take to a gift is just to reject it altogether. Now, most people don't have the guts to do that, to say, no, I'm not accepting your gift. I don't want your gift. I don't like your gift. I don't celebrate birthdays, or I don't celebrate Christmas. I've only had one person in my life ever do that, where they said, yeah, no, I don't want your gift. Here, take it back. I can't remember if I had it wrapped or not. I don't think I had it wrapped. So it was a book, and they looked at it and said, no, I don't want it. Here, take it back. It wasn't even a controversial book, but yeah, they were not having anything to do with gift exchanging at all. And that's actually an honest approach. That's an honest approach. It's much better, I think, than being cynical in your mind and not sharing it, or being overly sentimental about it. The fourth approach to gift giving, and I think it's the correct approach, is just to accept it, and to accept it with true gratitude. And I didn't learn this until, I can't remember how old I was, in my 30s or 40s. And I learned it from my wife's grandmother, Grandma Ann. Grandma Ann was a retired OR room nurse, And she and I used to have a really good time chatting when I was in medical school, sharing war stories. She loved that. But she was a supremely practical woman. Practical, blunt, logical, and she didn't need any gifts. There was nothing she needed in her life. Her whole house was full of stuff that she really didn't need. But when you gave her a gift, she would receive that gift as though this was exactly what she needed. This was the thing she'd been looking for to solve a particular problem that she's just thrilled that you got that for her. Now, she was not a sentimental woman. I mean, she would laugh. I'm sure, I maybe saw her cry a few times, but not a mushy gushy, sentimental, dewy-eyed kind of person at all. Very practical, blunt, matter of fact. And she made you feel like $1,000,000 when you gave her anything. You just walked away thinking, wow, how did I ever guess that she needed that so much? And it was only decades later that I realized, no, that had to do with how she received the gift. So at this time of year, when we're giving and receiving gifts, someone gives you a gift. In this case, at Christmas, we're talking about, for unto us a child is born, for unto us a son is given. So right from first principles, we're talking about God giving a gift. And then we have to decide, well, what is our response to that gift? And so we've unpacked that. And I think a legitimate response of truly saying, yeah, no, this is really good. This is practical. I need to think about this. This is life-changing, would be for then us to give a gift and someone else receives it. So you create this cycle of gift, receive, gift, receive, gift, receive, and it continues. And that's what we're seeing with this ongoing celebration of Christmas. But the receipt of the gift, I would argue, is equally as important as the thoughtfulness or the intentionality that goes behind giving the gift in the first place. So over this season, I hope you get a chance to think not just about the gifts you receive, but to think about the gift of Christmas itself. Try not to approach it with a sense of cynicism or over sentimentality. If you're given to sentimentality, great. I can be extremely sentimental at times, but when you think about the gift of Christmas itself or the gifts that you're getting from others, try to be aware of cynicism, sentimentality. I'm sure none of you give a gift back, so I don't think rejection is on the docket. But really think about it, what it means to accept a gift. And I think one of the core things ties back to what we talked about at the beginning, humility. You're humble enough to suspend your judgment, to suspend the cynical thoughts that might jump into your head, and you build the habit of learning how to receive a gift with grace, with magnanimity. And when you do that, I believe that changes you. Now, I'm not saying I've been completely changed by that, but I've seen people that have been changed by that. And I think of my grandma Ann. She was a particular person because she had developed that habit, that moral imagination and intellectual imagination that allowed her to give and receive gifts, but more particular in our case right now, as we're discussing, to receive gifts in such a way that I've never seen anyone else receive gifts as well as she received gifts. So I'll just leave you with that. I'm excited to see what you think of the podcast we already have recorded. I've got 3 in the docket, fantastic guests. I've learned so much from my guests. I can't thank them enough. When you record, you learn something, and then when you edit, you learn more. And then when you write a show summary, you learn more. And then I usually listen to the episode once it comes out to make sure that I haven't made any major errors, and to think about how to improve that for the next one. So I'm getting so much more out of this than you guys are. At least I believe I am. And so I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm grateful for the audience that is growing. I'm hearing back from so many of you that you're enjoying it. That's thrilling for me. And I hope that over this next year, this coming year, we can really demonstrate the depth and breadth of thinking on the non-left. To quote the last episode of Harry Potter, these are dark times, there is no denying. Our world has perhaps faced no greater threat than it does today. And I can't say it as well as Bill Nye, but that's the sense that I have, and the reason why I've created this podcast as a gift for you. Hey, I just thought of that. So again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I look forward to hearing what you think, and have yourself a very, very great break. And I appreciate you tuning in. Bye for now.